Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be watching from, and this is it. Season finale here at the Grand Prestige League for SWT, and it is all to play for here in this race here today. It is a sprint weekend, just like it was for the season finale for WEC last week. And this is going to be a fantastic race from start to finish. We have a 12-lap sprint race followed by a 24-lap feature. And it is all to play for here today. So, let's go and run through some standings real quick. So, I think regardless of how everything does play out today, XO will win the Constructors Championship. They have an exactly 100-point buffer ahead of today's race. So, yep, that is correct. Just making sure all my information is correct. So, XO will win the Constructors Champion regardless of what happens here today. They have about a 120 deficit or 120 point deficit. A little less than that. I think it's 116 to be exact to Project Zero. So, there's still some positions that can switch up here. High Caliber Racing, Hololive, and Red Bull Adidas are all relatively pretty close to each other. So that is going to be a battle to look for in the constructors, but the real battle today is in the driver standings. Taking a look at the driver standings here. The drop rounds, I believe, have all already been considered in these statistics, but it is a battle today between CBD and B23. Both of the XO drivers separated by a measly 2 points. So whoever comes away with more points in today's race will be the champion of SWT here for Season 6 here at Interlagos. It's amazing thing about this season, because I know I'm going a bit on a season prelude, or like a bit of a prologue before we get to the finale here, but I mean, this season so far for both categories, the championship was decided in the final round. So that is a very fun statistic. It is a English. It is a statistic I like. It shows how competitive this season has been. So if you're new here today, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. Turn on that notifications bell because we have some excellent stuff cooking up. We have a new mini-series coming up with LMP1, and then also I think another one with GT3 or GT4. It's still in the works, but obviously our next big event is the SF500, our post-season endurance race where we go 500 miles in the Super Formula machines. Last time out we did it at Spa. It was actually my first race I commentated here at GPL, and once again, as always, my name is Patrick Coleman, aka Rekus, and I'll be your host and commentator for today's race and our doubleheader around this fantastic circuit here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Taking a look at the track, it is a very fantastic track. We had some extra racing here last week, and I mean, it is 4.309 kilometers around, 2.677 miles, and the longest straight on this track is 0.4 miles or 650 meters, coming in from turn 3 all the way to turn number 4, 15 corners around this track. Lots of good overtaking opportunities because this track is a very wide circuit. So without any further ado, I also do want to go ahead and make a quick little announcement once I go ahead and pull up the GPL chat, so I'll make sure I'm not missing anything. I do want to say hi to chat. Hello Flaring Gazes, good evening, good sir, good to have you around. I will say that after some deep thinking took me all about 3 seconds, I have decided that I will continue to commentate with the Grand Prestige League for quite some time. Haven't had put a specific number on it, but I will be, if my schedule works out, I do plan on commentating the SF500 race coming up, and also the mini series that we're coming up with, and even so I do plan on sticking around with GPL for the long haul. Hopefully that is alright with you guys, because GPL has provided some really fantastic racing here in this series, and honestly it is So much fun to be here, and I am so glad that we've had such a fantastic season. And I do want to thank chat, because chat, you have made myself, Lusion, and B23. You've brought up some really good points during races. You guys made us reconsider some things in terms of like our initial strategy predictions. You've also made us laugh quite a bit, and honestly, you guys have brought a lot of life to the already lively races we've been having here at the Grand Prestige League. So I want to make a massive shout out to everybody who has watched GPL at any point during the season, any of our new subscribers that we may have picked up over the course of the season. You guys are absolutely awesome. We could have not done this without you guys. And I do want to make a shout out to everybody in GPL, whether you're an admin, whether you are a driver in SWT, WEC, or just a spectator. You guys are all fantastic. And I think we have one more fantastic race ahead of us. Actually, scratch that. We have two more fantastic races ahead of us, because we have a sprint weekend here to close out the season. Some more information will be posted on our Instagram here, I believe, by the end of today. I know Lusion is busy getting ready for his domestic series race, I believe, so best of luck to him over there. The championship runner-up for WEC from last week, and I believe we will be getting underway here very, very shortly. We do only, unfortunately, have 7 cars on the grid, but with how intense the competition here is at GPL in the SWT category, or even the WC category, just because we have 7 drivers does not mean that we are not going to have fantastic racing. I mean, it's Interlagos, so Interlagos is a fun track no matter what way you slice it. It is going to be a blast. Hope you guys are going to go ahead, get strapped in. We're going to make sure you have your favorite drink. Be sure to hydrate. Hydration is important. I know in a lot of parts of the world, and particularly in the United States, I'm sure it's hitting other places as well. We're entering the summer months. So, I mean, speaking as a Floridian, it does get scorching hot here in the Sunshine State. It is the Sunshine State for a reason. So, yeah, it's going to get really, really hot. So make sure you guys are hydrating. Hydration is important. These drivers would not be competing to the best of their abilities without being perfectly hydrated. So be sure to hydrate, grab your favorite snacks, and get ready, because it is going to be a fantastic race here at GPL to round out the season. It was a season finale for our top class, the WEC, last week, but now we wrap up the season as a whole with the conclusion of the Sprint World Tour Series here at Grand Prestige League, using the very powerful and very tricky to drive Super Formula SF23 machines. So yeah, it is going to be a lot of fun here today. I want to wish the best of luck to all of these drivers here today that are competing in today's Grand Prix, because honestly, there's so much to play for here. There's championship positions. The Constructors Championship, I believe, is already all said and done. I mean, CBD and B23 dominating the standings, getting 1-2 in the championship, regardless of how today finishes. And as you heard from the lobby host, we are going to go ahead and begin 10 minutes of qualifying here at the Grand Prestige League for one last time here at Season 6. Qualifying is about to begin. Now, granted, this is one of the shorter pit lanes in Gran Turismo, so you don't have to worry about the gargantuan pit lane like in the endurance layout of Spa. We're going to go ahead and get underway here very, very shortly. And you heard the siren. The final qualifying session of the season is underway, ladies and gentlemen. Some cars are already having a bit of contact. I don't know if that's a glitch with Gran Turismo, but Nico was... Okay, Nico's having a bit of a problem. That was an interesting problem. I apologize if that hurt anyone's ears, because I think it hurt mine just a bit. But yes, we are in for a fantastic race here today. Yeah, Nico's having a bit of a connectivity spike. That was an interesting moment there. Hello, Lusion. Best of luck to you today in your series. I know it's going to be a tricky one. I've been driving the X 2019 actually or X 2014 Junior a bit recently. It's a pretty fun car to drive. And we're seeing High Caliber Racing actually running a fancy livery for today. Schulte is taking a bit of a gander into a different part of the track. So interesting start here to the beginning of this. And actually CVD is not here, I don't think. So yeah, so that's an interesting one. So we do have 7 drivers on the field today. Going into this race, CVD and B23 were two points apart, so they were really close in the championship. Oh, gotcha. Not until after summer. All right. Well, hope you're still having a good time doing whatever errands you have to run. I know sometimes errands aren't the most enjoyable thing to do, or any other activities or commitments you may have, but we're glad you stopped in to check in on us as we get to the final qualifying session of the season. It's crazy how fast time flies. It's already been, I mean, it's kind of hard to believe, but it's already been 16 weeks that we've been doing this season, if you think about it, because we do have 8 rounds for each division and it's alternating weeks. So yeah, it's been really interesting. It's been a fun season though, so we've seen some really good racing in both divisions, both SWT and WEC. As we're on board now with EXO B23, current championship leader. He just needs to get a solid result today, and this championship is his to claim. And it will be I think it's going to be a perfect Grand Slam. Just B23 just needs to finish. And then I believe he does have a Grand Slam on his hands. Actually, the entire EXO team has a Grand Slam on their hands. With B23 taking the championship, CBD getting P2, and then EXO Rapide getting the constructor. So it'd be a full Grand Slam. And oh, we have a bit of a spin there. Not sure who spun around. That was Kill Switch. He did make a spin. Yeah, that is true. So B23 just needs to finish, and he is champion. So, I mean, he's still going to give it his all. I know B23. I know him pretty well, I will say. I don't know him perfectly, but I still think he's just going to go ahead and give it his all here today. Because, granted, yes, the championship is basically wrapped up and in his hand. He wants to go ahead and finish this season on a high note, get a race win, get a pole position to go ahead and round out the season. But so far, Ducadono has pole position at the moment. He's in the pits now. The Dutch driver racing for Red Bull Adidas. There's a lot to fight for in the midfield when it comes to the Constructors' Championship. It is an improvement, but not quite pole position. Still 3/10 away from the Dutchman. Killswitch actually in a really impressive 3rd place here for the High Caliber team. High Caliber has not had the strongest of seasons here so far, which is a bit unfortunate. Although they are running I believe it's an old school livery. I believe it's it looks like it's an old school HCR livery, which actually looks really good. Kind of reminds me of the, now even though I am an American, sometimes I'm bad about NFL teams because I know sometimes they change locations, but the San Diego Chargers, it might be San Francisco Chargers now, but this reminds me of the Chargers NFL team. It's got the same kind of design. It's a cool livery, and I mean, the High Caliber squad has never had a bad livery. I mean, they've always brought out some really fantastic looking liveries, and this one is no exception. Although you can say that about every team on the grid. Every team on the grid has had a fantastic livery. I mean, we could just take a look at some of the other liveries. The Hololive Racing livery here for the Hololive Racing driver of Kemajur. I mean, this livery has gone through some changes, but it is still a very pretty livery. Still better than the Ferrari livery in Formula 1. And yes, I said it. I may get some a bit of a disagreement for that, but probably not as much as the soccer versus football controversy that myself and B23 started last week. But so far we're about a third, we're actually over halfway done with the final qualifying session, and man, that went by really quickly. So we're going to stay on board with Killswitch. We'll see what his time is going to be. He's going to be pedal to the metal now. Now this is a few corners here. You got turns 13 through 15 in this last sector. Actually technically 12 through 15, but turn 12 is really the only tricky corner because everything else is flat out, and Killswitch will move up into P3 at the moment. We're going to hop on board with our turnout from Project Zero Racing, the quote Alpine powered car. Having more stability than the actual Alpine Formula 1 team in recent times. Arturo is going to try to go ahead and maximize results because, like I said earlier, it is such a battle for the constructors here in SWT. Now, the top championship, the first two positions are pretty much under lock and key, but just to put things into perspective, Project Zero is probably the safest of the bunch. They have 134 points. But then you go through P4 through P6, you have High Caliber Racing, which currently has, let's get on board with High Caliber Driver. Yeah, High Caliber Racing right now has 125.5 points, only 5.5 points ahead of the Hololive Racing team with 120, and then only 4 points behind them is Red Bull Adidas with 116 points. Go Fast Castrol, unfortunately, I don't think they've been around since the beginning of SWT, so they are still at the very back with only 22 points. So, and they are not here today, so they will finish the season in P7. But P4 through P6 is up for grabs here at GPL, and it is gonna be fireworks here. But right now, Ducadona is in a good spot to put Red Bull Adidas up in the standings, as the Dutch driver for Red Bull Adidas is currently in P1 and just exactly a 10th on the dot quicker than current championship leader B23. B23 did improve, he did, but he closed that gap up, but still. Oh, never mind, ignore what I was going to say. Another Dutchman has taken pole position. Well, I think mathematically it is possible for Project Zero to lose P3 in this Constructors' Championship. It's probably the most unlikely change, aside from the front two. So, I mean, yes. Obviously Arturo is going to try to maximize everything humanly possible to try to get this done and dusted. Although, unlike normal, we're going to go ahead and interview the drivers after this. We'll go ahead and get an interview with the drivers champion as well as a member of the constructors champion, and then we'll also get P2 and P3 to kind of talk about their seasons and then talk about what they plan on doing for the next season. Because granted, the next season is quite a ways away. I think the SF 500 is the next thing that we go ahead and do here at Grand Prestige League, and even then that's going to be in well into the spring and possibly even the summer. Well, one Project Zero car is on top. The second one is having a bit of fun in the realm of connectivity. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm speechless about that one. That's a interesting one. Hopefully that's not a problem for these drivers here today. Yeah, Schulte is going to go ahead and try to get closer to his teammate, who's currently in P4. Nico will set in improved lap time, but he is still just shy of 6/10 away from Schulte's time. Schulte currently in P6 at the moment, the Canadian driver, and it's been an interesting season for this High Caliber Racing squad. I mean, they've had a better time than their WEC counterpart, that is for certain, as we pull the final constructor standings. Oh, those have not been posted yet, but High Caliber Racing McLaren only was in P6 before the season finale of WEC. Their SWT counterpart is in a much better spot. They are in P4 with the potential of taking away a P3, but they're going to need some seriously good results, and they're going to need Arturo to really falter here. It is a bit of an advantage because they do have two cars compared to one, but at that same time, Arturo is currently in pole position, and actually we are wrapped up with qualifying here. B23 is done, so Arturo might actually be on pole position unless Ducadono has something to say about it. He's only got a few more corners left. We're going to sit on board now with the Dutch driver, see if he can go ahead and put that car into a higher position. Let's see if he can go ahead and get this done and dusted and put into pole position. He will still start from the second row, which is a decent spot to start here for the Dutchman. He is a half a second off of his own time, so I don't think he's going to go ahead and get this done. He's going to come across the line now. The only other car that could upset this pole position here is going to go ahead and be Keminger, but Keminger I think did just recently come across the line. And yeah, he's done, so that's not going to be improvement from him, not improvement from Ducadonu either. And Artura takes pole position here at Interlagos. Now, it is a flipped grid here, so he will start from the back of the grid for the sprint, but for the Grand Prix, he will start from the front of the field. So that is going to be a really good spot for the Project Zero driver. Gonna really try to go ahead and solidify P3 in the constructor standings here for Project Zero Racing. So this is going to be an interesting one here. So Nico will start, and actually come to think of it, Project Zero will start from first place in both races because everybody is in a Project Zero sandwich at the moment. Nico is at the back of the grid. He'll start from pole position in the sprint race, and then we have Artura starting from pole in the feature race. So that is going to be an interesting one, folks. We'll run through the qualifying times once again here once the timer runs out. I think that's all of what we are waiting for at the moment. Just waiting for these timers to go ahead and expire. I'll run through the qualifying session results, and then I will go ahead and return once we get started with with the sprint race here at SWT season finale here at the Grand Prestige League. Go ahead and get ready to go grab some water, grab your favorite drink of choice, grab a snack, because this is going to be a very, very fun race here. Fun doubleheader too. I mean, it's a perfect way to spend a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, whichever it is for you. And yeah, I can't think of a better place to be right now than on the track, or well, in my case, the commentary booth. So yeah, I think we're just waiting for this timer to run out. It should run out right about now. I have learned this pretty well. The pain meds are carrying. Oh yeah, that's right. You do have that torn meniscus, I believe. So that's super unfortunate for you. But anyways, taking a look at our qualifying here. Artura is going to take pole position here by 31/100ths of a second, followed by Ducadonu, who is the only car within a second of these two drivers with a 1:13.728, followed by Keminger, the two high caliber drivers, and then Nico the Sicko will go ahead and close out our qualifying grid here. So while the lobby gets set and ready for the sprint race and the reversal of the grid, we will take a small intermission and we will be right back. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are only moments away from going ahead and kicking off the second and final sprint race of the season here. The penultimate race, and then it is going to be go time. And then we're going to just wrap up the season. We're going to get some interviews going, but to get to that point, we have to go through the sprint, and then we have to go through the feature race. And there is Race Control saying that they're going to go ahead and start the session now. So it is going to be lights out here momentarily, and yes, the session has indeed started here, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready, because this is going to be a fantastic sprint race. No pit stops, just full throttle, full gas, no brakes. Well, actually, please use brakes. I don't want to do some red flags, but anyways, you get what I mean. It's going to be pedal to the metal, no hesitation, and now we just wait for the lights to come on and then get ready to go out. 3, 2, 1, and it's lights out and away we go with the season finale sprint race here at the Grand Prestige League. Nico is going to go ahead and, oh, it's a bit of a bump there. He's got rear wing damage off the rip. It is only light damage though, so that damage will repair itself, but it is going to make turning that much harder. He's not going to have a lot of downforce. Getting swallowed up now by Chemicher and Schulte. Bit of ping-ponging around there for the Project Zero driver. He's going to go wide at B23. Oh, B23 might have a spin. No, he keeps it on track. So Nico falling all the way down to P7 on the start. Unfortunate stuff there for the American driver. And another American goes wide, so B23 does go wide there on corner exit. And he's got a half-second penalty for his troubles. Looks like he went wide there, I believe, around turn 6, maybe. I think that's the corner he ended up going wide on. So unfortunate there for B23 at the moment. This has not been the sprint race that he would have wanted. He will still get points, but definitely not as much as he would have wanted. And Chemicher actually has a 1.3 second gap, so that is very good stuff here from all these drivers. Now, overtake will be allowed once we go ahead and get started here with lap number 2, and overtake is allowed, so we're going to start seeing some of those drivers burn up that overtake now. Oh, and Chemicher's got a bit of a moment there for Chemicher, the American driver, currently in the lead of the sprint race. Schulte is going to take advantage though. Both drivers are trying to burn overtake as they go into turn number 4 on this track at the end of the 650 meter straight. They're going to go for it. Chemicher though does keep the lead momentarily. B23 though still trying to get past Nico. Kill switch up ahead does have a half-second penalty, so the high caliber racing driver will be in a bit of a pickle, as the 2 cars behind him are about 2 seconds behind. Now, it is a half-second penalty, but you lay off the throttle for half a second. So you really lose a lot of speed and a lot of momentum, especially because Sector 3 is such a high-speed sector on this track. Heading back up into P3 now. Arturo, who started in last, is up into the podium spots here in the sprint, so it's been a good drive for him so far. Really making moves happen here in the early stages. Now, I will also point out that the wind is a bit slower than it was in the WEC race last week, so the wind has died down a bit, but not by a lot. Arturo does set the fastest lap of the sprint so far. Taking a look at the battle for the front here, Schulte is trying to chase down Chemicher now as we go on to the halo cam of the airbox cam of the car. Trying to see him chase down Chemicher now. It is high caliber racing versus Hololive Racing. And these two constructors, like I said earlier, are very close in the championship. Only about 5.5 points separates these teams. So if although Chemicher does not have his teammate of your boy Grand, so he himself is going to have to try to work hard to outscore both Schulte and Killswitch on his own. It is a tall mountain, but it is a mountain that can be climbed, as we're now in the cockpit of the high caliber racing machine piloted by the Canadian driver of Schulte. We'll go ahead and see if he can go ahead and try to close this gap to Chemicher up ahead. Chemicher is doing really good though on the management here. We are a quarter of the way through the sprint race, and he is already, I mean, he still kept that gap. The gap never really, I mean, it's been right around a second, roughly. And here's the thing, though. These drivers can be very open about using overtake here, with the exception of lap 1. So, just because they don't have to manage it nearly as much, and I believe the soft tires will actually get to the end of this race. I think that's the tire everybody is on. It is indeed the tire everybody's on. Championship leader B23 is up into P5 at the moment. So he is going to go ahead and he's going to try to keep charging, but I don't know if he'll get much further than that. But we'll see here. I mean, Red Bull Adidas is the team that really also needs to beat. He really also needs to beat both Hololive and High Caliber for his team, because his team is currently second to last in the standings and only about 4 points behind the car ahead. So Decadona is a driver that also really needs to improve, but ideally he wants to be ahead of both Keminger and Schulte. Schulte at minimum, because Schulte is the team that he is closer with. So he really wants to be ahead of the High Caliber Racing driver. Actually, correctly, he needs to be ahead of Keminger. So Keminger, who is currently winning the sprint race at the moment, got about a half a second gap though to Schulte. And I mean, this is the closest battle, or the second closest battle in the entirety of this championship so far. So High Caliber Racing 125.5, Hololive 120. So 5.5 points separates these two, and this is a big battle with big championship implications here. This is for 4th in the constructors. I mean, right now, Schulte he's keeping that gap close. He's keeping him honest as the soft tires are working their magic around this circuit. Now, this track doesn't really burn up a whole ton of tires until you get to this section right here. Sector 2 is the hardest sector on the track. It extends from turn 4 all the way to turn 11. And obviously, we know that turn 7 through turn 11 is the very tricky and technical part of this racetrack here at Sao Paulo, Brazil. And this is the part that's really going to be the hardest on the tires, because a lot of the other parts of it is flat out and or high speed. Like, I mean, you got turns 13 through 15 that are pretty much flat out. Some of them you can honestly barely call corners, but so far, it is actually B23 though, who does have the fastest lap. Arturo trying to make a move onto Schulte now. The pain medications are really kicking in, as well as his pace here for Arturo, aka Nemesis. He's going to go ahead and try to make the move up on the inside of turn number 4. Not quite. But that's the beauty of the circuit. It is so wide that you have so many chances to make moves until you get to Sector 2. And even then, you still have a good amount of opportunities in Sector 2. Arturo has gone wide there. There's so much runoff on this track too, but he will lose a ton of positions. Oh, and he spins it. He just spins it around. Oh, we got to get a look at that from the driver cam. Oh, he got tapped by B23 there. Got on to the outskirts and the runoff on the track. And then try to put the power down, and just too much, causing a spin, and he collides with the wall. Surprise! Oh, now he's got even more damage on that Project Zero car. So this race has really just went from bad to worse for Arturo. And he's going to go ahead and get hit with the reset. So unfortunate for the Project Zero driver. Oh, I'm hoping his knee didn't give out on him. Because, I mean, I obviously have a lot of respect for all these drivers, because these drivers are all exceptionally talented, but I gotta give special credit, which some people might need like a cane or some kind of walk or maybe even a wheelchair to deal with that. And then we have this man racing on the sim, still trying to go ahead. He got pole position with that same injury, by the way, so that is impressive stuff there. But now B23 is actually in the lead of this race now. He did get past Schulte, he got past Keminger. And now these three drivers fighting for their respective teams in the Constructors' Championship. They're just going to fight it out. I mean, granted, I do know that High Caliber does have the best advantage in this, because they're the only team in this fight for P4 in the Constructors to have all their drivers. But it's still on the play for. Every bit counts here in this battle. So a second place in the sprint would do wonders for the the Exodus drivers, but they're racing for the high caliber team. Exodus does have a ton of drivers. Actually, over half the grid that is in this race is an Exodus Motorsports affiliated driver. Only one of them, though, driving for the actual XO Rapide racing team, and that is the man who is currently in the lead of the Constructors' Championship and the Drivers' Championship at the moment, although nothing can really take away the championship from either driver. They just need to go ahead and finish out this race. But granted, B23 could finish behind all these drivers. He can finish last in the sprint and in the feature race, and he'll still win the championship by a pretty healthy margin. But that is not what a champion does. A champion driver is going to go and try to maximize and honestly try to get as close as he can to a Grand Slam. He wants to win in the sprint and he wants to win in the Grand Prix. So that is going to be his main goal for him. There's still a lot of fights going on throughout this grid, though, that we will be keeping an eye on. Unfortunately, I don't have the capacity to do the math immediately for these three teams because I don't have these scorecards or like the point scorers anywhere. But I'll also leave that to the admins. But what I do know is that we are down to the final 4 laps of the sprint, and so far, advantage for high caliber in this battle for P4 in the constructors, with one of the drivers currently in P2 on track, catching up though to B23. Although granted, in the drivers championship and in the constructors championship, his fight is not with the EXO cars, it is with the Hololive and the Red Bull Adidas, and maybe the Project Zero cars too, considering that they haven't had the greatest of starts here in the sprint. Although there might be, no, I thought there was a battle closing up here between these two, but see if there is any major battles. Not at the moment. This field has pretty much spread out, but it is interesting to note that the sprint race is going to be a no pit stop race, but I wonder how much the strategy is going to change for the feature race, because it is twice as long for the feature race as the sprint was. So we do have that, but another thing to note is that there is no specific tire requirement when it comes to the Grand Prestige League. As long as you have 4 tires on the car, then you are more than welcome to race. As long as that car is the Super Formula car, and ideally, I mean, you could run comfort tires, although I'm not sure why you would on these machines. If someone has ever actually done a competitive lap in a comfort tire, then they are the second coming of insert goated racing driver here. But it's been a pretty entertaining sprint. Some thrills, some spills. We're about to have 2 laps left to go now, as B23 is pulling away quite considerably now to this battle here that is currently in P2 to P4. And actually we do have a fight that is within a second. We're going to go ahead and do the penultimate lap on a bit of an ASMR lap. We're going to ride on board with Chemazure once they get started with this lap, and then we will be right back. We're going to let you guys listen to the absolute awesome roar of these inline 4 engines as they go ahead and start the penultimate lap, and we'll be back. right, that was an on-board lap there with Kemmerscher now, driver for the Hotline Racing team, but our POV is now going to be turned, our attention is going to be turned to this man right here. Started 6th on the grid, coming up to the front, and he is in fine form to win the sprint race here at Interlagos. So, Exodus Motors, the Exo driver, actually also sending purple sectors, so he's going to try to get a fastest lap on top of that. That's going to add to his near Grand Slam. Unfortunately, he did not get pole position, so a full Grand Slam will be out of his grasp, but what is well within his grasp is the sprint win here. He's going to come across the line here very, very shortly. He's on turn 9 now, going into turn number 10. He's got quite a few more corners left to go, but a lot of them are flat out, so he really has nothing to worry about in this race. He has got only a few more corners left to go. He's got one more tricky corner left. And now it's pedal to the metal all the way home. And your winner of the sprint race, coming around the last few corners on this track, is your current championship leader, extending his lead in this championship to B23. He is the sprint race winner here at Interlagos. Schulte will come home in P2, followed by Kemmerscher, Ducadono, and then it is going to be Kill Switch, Nico the Sicko, and then Artura, aka Nemesis, rounding out our grid. Now, here's some consolation though. Unless Artura does pull out, which I don't think he will, but it is still a potential due to that injury that he is still driving with. He did the WC race, at least a good portion of it. Or I think he did the sprint race, just couldn't do the feature race with that same injury. So, I mean, this is his second week in a row racing with that torn meniscus. So, a lot of credit to him for giving it his all here. But if there's any consolation for the Dutch driver, he will start from the beginning, or he will start from the front of the field here, as he did get pole position. The last pole position of the season, but the last winner of a sprint race here at Grand Prestige League season number 6 is this man right here, B23, current championship leader. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at the standings once again. It is B23 winning here and getting the fastest lap by over a second. That is a fantastic drive here from the American driver. And then we have Schulte, and then we have Kemmerscher, Ducadono, JDK or JD Kill Switch, Nico the Sicko, and then Artura, aka Nemesis, rounding out our grid here today for the sprint race. But ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere unless you're getting a refill on your beverage or a different beverage, or, you know, getting some more snacks, because we still have double that race. If you thought the sprint race was intense, get ready for the feature race, because it is going to be double trouble in the feature race. We have 24 laps around this amazing circuit. Cars are already actually going back on track just to get some last minute practice. And we will see how this race goes. It is going to be it's going to be the grid that we qualified with, or qualified for, I should say. The sprint does the reverse grid, and then we go to the regular grid for the actual race, and it is going to be a fun one. It's going to be a lot of battles, especially with a lot of championship implications for the constructors on the line. So we will see how everything is going to go. I think we're just waiting for Nico to go ahead and enter the session so the grid can be set for the next race, which is the final race of the season. And boy, oh boy, what a season it has been. It has been a fantastic season from start to finish in both categories. Cannot thank the GPL people enough for bringing me on board for this season. It's been a blast. Can't wait to see what goes on next time. And if you also can't wait to see what happens next in the Grand Prestige League, for what series we come up with, what crazy racing we're going to have. I know the SF500 is right around the corner. Go ahead and drop a like and subscribe. Follow us on our socials. Instagram is at Grand Prestige League. And then if you actually want to get involved in the action itself, we would love to have you go ahead and request it in chat, and then somebody will go ahead and drop you a Discord link. It might be myself, it might be someone else, but we would love to have you for any of the upcoming races that we do throughout the season. or actually next season, and also any of the other series that we're going to go ahead and run. So yeah, be sure you guys go ahead, drop a like and subscribe and comment if you want to participate in the Grand Prestige League for next season. I can't wait to see you guys on track if you guys do decide to join on in. There's probably a 99% chance that I will be the driver or the person yapping over your racing action, bringing you all the action here from my new apartment in South Florida. It is going to be a fantastic time here. Hope you guys do enjoy it. I believe we're about to get underway here very, very shortly with the final race of the season. It brings a tear to my eye just to see how far all these drivers have come. All these drivers have improved a fair amount since they started the season, and I mean, that's just the thing about racing. You're just going to go ahead and get better as you race more often. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one here as we get ready to wrap up the season here at the Grand Prestige League. We're going to do this dance one last time. 24 laps around this very historic circuit here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Once again, for those of you who may be a bit unfamiliar with this track, this is a very famous racing circuit in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It has been host to many great races, and a lot of good racing categories come here. Brazilian stock car, which is kind of like Brazilian DTM in a sense. They race here, and then you also have Formula 1 obviously racing here, and then you have, I think, MotoGP. No, MotoGP does a different circuit. I think they actually do go to Interlagos at some point soon. But also you do have the 6 Hours of Sao Paulo that also races here from the World Endurance Championship. And then obviously my personal favorite out of the bunch, we have Grand Prestige League racing here, and within 5 seconds, the final race of the season is going to be underway, and we will take you from lights to the checkered flag here as we wrap up the season. We're going to go ahead and head to the grid now as our drivers are ready for the final race of the season. This is the last dance, the last battle, the season finale here at Grand Prestige League. This will close out the entirety of the season for us here. And we see those red lights going on. And it's lights out, and away we go. It is a drag race down to the beginning. B23 already making a position. Kemmerscher also thinking about making up a position here. One of the high caliber cars goes wide. That is Kill Switch going wide there on corner exit of the exit of turn 1. And Artur has lost a few positions already, but he's going to be in a good slipstream. Now remember, overtake cannot be used until lap 2. Artur is going to retake that position off of Kemmerscher as we go ahead and take a look at this battle here. Ducadono and Schulte now battling it out for P4. Thousands separate these drivers. Although Schulte will have to go ahead and cede the position just because he kind of ran out of real estate there. As it has been a bit of a chaotic first lap, but it has not been red flag worthy because nobody has damage as far as I'm aware. There is a penalty though for Kill Switch. Probably for his excursion, taking the scenic route around Interlagos. Which, I mean, granted, this is a very beautiful track, some really pretty city elements around, but Gran Turismo doesn't agree, so they will slap you with a penalty here. And championship leader B23 is going to go ahead and just start pulling away a bit. He's got a 1.3 second gap to Artur. Now, he did take the fastest lap and the sprint win earlier on, so he's going to want to try to finish the season on a high note with a race win here to wrap up the season. Artur and all the other 6 drivers are going to do the same. As we see a battle now for P3. This is for the final podium spot of the season. Kemmerscher and Ducadono going at it again. Kemmerscher is going to go and try to fight. Now, we have to remember that these teams are all really, really close to each other in the Constructors' Championship from P4 to P6. Less than 20 points separates all of these drivers and all these teams. So we're going to see how this one plays out. Ducadono is actually really close to the back of Kemmerscher at the moment. He is going to lose a bit of time though to the American driver up ahead racing for Hololive Racing, but he's going to be a bit later on the brakes, trying to go ahead and close the gap as much as possible. and it is time for us to go ahead and do a bit of a tire check. So B23 has elected to use the medium compound tire, which is the 50/50 tire of the Gran Turismo racing tire range. It is the tire with, it doesn't have as much grip as the softs, but it does have the same level of degradation. But it has more grip than the hard compound, but less tire life. So it really is the middle ground. And then we take a look at Artura, aka Nemesis, who's also on that same tire. Dunkin' Donut and Chemistry both on that medium. As we're gonna get back to that second, Schulte has spun. Schulte has spun out. And Schulte's race is getting undone here at the seams. Let's take a look at what happened here to Schulte. He's going to go ahead and try to power into the corner. And oh, I think he just got too much onto the curb there and just lost it. Waiting for his teammate to go by so he doesn't get an unsafe rejoin, which is very unfortunate, especially onto your teammate. He does have front aerodynamic damage, so his car's going to be a little trickier to turn. As we take a look at the field, and everybody is on that medium tire compound, so it is very likely going to be a medium to soft tire strat. Maybe medium to medium would be the alternate strat. I don't think the hard tires are going to be useful on this track just because of the deficit. Now, if you're familiar with some other simulators, such as the Formula 1 game, you may think that, oh, you know, the hard tires are really good and they can go this whole race without pitting. That is true. You could go the entire race without pitting on the hard tire compound. But in Gran Turismo, the hard compound tire isn't really that great, to be honest. So, I mean, it's all about diminishing returns when it comes to tires and strategy in racing, especially here at Gran Turismo with these Super Formula cars. So you really need to find a good mix of pace per lap and also tire life, and the medium honestly gives you the best of both the worlds, and the soft honestly gives you more of that than the hards do. The hards are considered the worst of the slick tire range, just because your car will understeer quite a bit even when those tires are in the proper operating window. And so the mediums are the go-to tire choice. They have been for pretty much the entirety of the season. We've seen hards on a few occasions, but pretty much for the most part it is that soft and medium compound tire that we've been seeing here a lot. Now, there is no specific tire requirement, so it's not like you have to use both a medium and a hard, or a medium soft and hard. There's no requirement on that. You could, honestly, you could use intermediates if you want to. Not sure why you would, because this track looks very dry and very sunny today, so it is looking that rain is going to be very, very unlikely in today's race, as we're still on board with this battle between Chemazure and Ducadona. This is going to have some pretty serious championship implications here for P4 through P6 in the Constructors' Championship. These two teams are only about 5.5 points away from each other. Or sorry, 4 points away from each other. Bit of a correction there, but they are 4 points away from each other. So if Ducadona finishes in this position ahead of Chemazure, then it will close that gap up quite a bit. And there's more points on the line here in the sprint race, or sorry, in the feature race than there was in the sprint. So, I mean, if Chemistry falls any lower, then I think Red Bull Adidas might be able to secure at least a 5th place in the championship, maybe a 4th, depending on how the high caliber drivers are doing. But the high caliber drivers aren't really doing super hot right now. P5 and now P6, as Schulte does get past Nico the Sicko for racing for the Project Zero racing team. Oh, and actually these two drivers are really trading positions. We're going to see if this move is going to happen. Going into turn number 1, and it is. Schulte's going to reclaim that position, and he is actually going to gain a ton of time. He's already gained about a second just in those corners alone. But here's the issue with Schulte. Schulte is burning up a ton of that overtake, which is the meter right next to the course map on the bottom right side of your screen. That is essentially like a nitrous system. It adds an extra, I think, 20-some horsepower roughly to your engine. It allows more fuel to be directly injected into the engine. It does function a little bit differently than the actual overtake system does in Super Formula, because in Super Formula in the real world you actually have bursts that you can use, kind of more similar to attack mode in Formula E, but in Gran Turismo it acts like a nitro system. So you can go ahead and use it as much as you want, but once you are out, that is it, you are out. You cannot go ahead and use anymore. And something that actually really played a factor in the WEC season finale was the overtake management, because Nuko was able to manage his overtake and overall do better in qualifying, and then he really just kind of walked away with it and then ended up becoming our champion in the WEC. So it's going to be an interesting one here, because I always say that strategy is about 50% of the race. So we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, all these cars have really started to pull away from each other. There's a lot of gaps forming here. On lap 7 out of 24, we're about a third of the way through this race already. Once B23 across the line, we'll be officially at the tail end of the first third of the season finale here at the Grand Prestige League. And boy oh boy, it's been a very fun season. Now the southbound wind is slowing down a bit. It was at 14 feet per second earlier, I think about 14.8 at its peak, and now it is 13.7. Now we've seen this in WEC last week, where there was a bit of a wind die-off during the feature race instead of the sprint. The wind pretty much stayed the same during the sprint for the most part, but then in the feature race, the wind really calmed down quite considerably. So, yeah, it's been an interesting thing to kind of talk about, kind of note, as this championship does continue on. But we are into the final stages of the season. This is the last race, round 8, the season finale here at Grand Prestige League. Overall, it is round 16 because of our two divisions racing 8 times apiece. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. We do have 8 viewers in chat at the moment, so thank you guys so much for spending your Sunday or your Monday, depending on what time zone you're in, with us. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the action as much as I am, and I'm going to let you guys enjoy a bit of engine noise as we're going to go ahead and ride on board with Killswitch, and we will be right back. Alright, that has been a flying lap with Killswitch here, as he's trying to chase down and trying to make sure High Caliber Racing stays in 4th place in this championship. He is getting close now. They're so close to each other now. The two bright blue cars. One of them looks like the San Diego Chargers, and the other one is the Hololive team car. High Caliber Racing trying to make some out of it, a bit of a slide there for Killswitch. His race was almost over, but it is fantastic to see these drivers battling it out tooth and nail for these positions, because it is all to play for here in this race here at Sao Paulo. So, I mean, these drivers are going to be fired up and ready to go. Ready to make as many moves as humanly possible. And Keminger has started to pull away. He's almost got a full second gap now to kill switch behind. We're going to actually hop on board now with the HoloLive Racing driver. Now do ignore the please refuel sign that does pop up. That is a bit of a bug with the keyboard specific replay system. It does bug out from time to time and tell drivers they need to refuel when they don't need to. So apologies for the very minor inconvenience. And I mean, this dirty air is going to be a bit of an inconvenience to Killswitch as he's going to try to get close. Now I know that dirty air is an issue on this track, especially with the wind. I mean, it's changing direction quite significantly now. It is now going mostly south, but a little west, and this wind has really slowed down a bit. It went from being 14.8 in the sprint to now being 12.1 here in the feature, as we're about halfway through the season finale here at Interlagos. So we're staying on board now with Keminger. Now these two have really fought, but the top three have really run away, so Ducadono is in a good spot to try to capitalize and pull ahead of HoloLive in the constructors, and they're going to try to get High Caliber Racing as well. Ideally they would have wanted to get past Project Zero, but I think the gap to Project Zero is a bit too much, and Artur is currently in second place at the moment. So, and taking a look at that, I mean, he is about 8 seconds or so behind, yeah, roughly about 8 seconds behind Artura. Ducadono would want to as well, but he is 4 seconds behind Artura. So, yeah, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle on this championship fight for the High Caliber Racing team. They're going to try all that they can to not get passed up here. But, I mean, it may happen. We'll just have to see how the rest of this race plays out. But we are currently at the halfway stage of this race. It is lap 12 out of 24 here. So we're going to go ahead and see how this one plays out. Current championship leader and unofficial champion at the moment, B23, he does have almost a 9-second gap to Artura behind. There's been a lot of talk about this driver potentially moving up to WEC next season. He has filled in for Porsche on a few occasions. I think actually it was at Spa that he did fill in with Porsche. So we will see if he does decide to stay in SWT or make the move into WEC. B23 is a driver that has been highly rated in the paddock. And I mean, understandable so. I think he just about has a 100% podium rate. So it is an interesting... It's been an interesting season for him because there's been a lot of races where he does just kind of slink away like he's doing now, but there's other races where he's really had to fight. Didn't have the smoothest of times at Croatia, and didn't have the smoothest of times, I believe last week it was, but overall, B23 has had a very fantastic season. He is in this spot for a reason, and he's in a really good position to win this championship. Because all of his main rivals are not competing, so it's really just waiting until the checkered flag for him to be crowned SWT champion of season number 6. Taking a look now at everybody else here at the moment. Bit of a gap still forming with all these drivers. Killswitch trying to make moves happen against Keminger, which, I mean, if all else, that is the one driver he really wants to get ahead of. To try to keep High Caliber's chances of staying at most P4 in the championship, just to try to realize that. Because their WEC team did not have the greatest of seasons, a bit of absences and missed opportunities for that team. For High Caliber Racing McLaren over in the WEC, the season is wrapped up for WEC. But I do want to go ahead and let you guys know that coming up soon is the Super Formula 500. The track has not been announced yet. Some ideas for tracks have floated around. I did jokingly suggest we do Northern Isle Speedway, which was understandably so immediately shot down as trying to race for 500 miles or 500 kilometers in those cars. In this car, around that half a mile track would be 1,000 laps roughly. So let's not say we did. But also, the only track I know for a fact that is not going to be in terms of like tracks that would be actually eligible is Spa-Francorchamps, because we did that last year and I don't think that we're going to have repeats. So that is one thing to note. What track would you guys like to see for the SF500, our endurance race here at Grand Prestige League that we do at the end of every season? The LMP1 series is going to run at Le Mans once we get that going, so I don't believe we're going to use that track again, as much as I think it'd be a lot of fun seeing these drivers get some really good endurance racing there. So what are your guys' thoughts for the SF500? Should we go to the Nürburgring? Should we go to, well, any version of the Nordschleife? Should we go to a track we've already been to this season? Should we go to Tokyo Expressway? Should we go to Igor Norwand for all we know? Go ahead, get involved with the chat. I will try to read out as many suggestions as humanly possible. And then, yeah, I'll go ahead and give my thoughts on your guys' suggestions, and I will pass them on to the higher-ups, to the admins who have been fantastic this season, handling the stewarding reports, handling incident appeals, and obviously getting the season organized, picking out a banger of a calendar. So, and I'm sure the SF500 and the future series will also have absolutely banger calendars. So we'll just have to see how it goes from here. I personally think we should still do Le Mans for the SF500. For just personally, I think that is what we should go ahead and try to push for. It is an iconic track, perfect for endurance racing. And I mean, you could really see these drivers get some really good top end from that track. The Nürburgring would be cool, and it was kind of talked about that it should be included in the next Super Formula season here at the Grand Prestige League. I think it could be cool for an SF500 race. Wonder what you guys think. Daytona Road Course could also be a fun one, because it is known for the 24 hours of Daytona. It's also the Daytona 500, but I don't think we would be using the oval layout. I'm pretty sure if we did do Daytona, we'd be using the road course layout, the one that is used for endurance racing. So, as fun as it would be for Igor Norwand, these cars do not drive super well around that track. It is a really, really small track. I think it's like it's like 2.6, no, it's not even 2.6 miles. I think it's like 1.6 miles or something like that. It's a really small track. And it's really only fun in like super small cars, like the go-karts and the K-cars. But yeah, we do have some awesome plans for the postseason. So once again, if you guys are brand new, be sure to drop a like and subscribe and turn on those notifications, because you are not going to want to miss any of this. And stick around after the race, because we do have some interviews coming up here with our top 3 and our drivers and constructors champion. So we will get our top 3 into a PlayStation party chat once we go in and wrap up with today's race, and we'll talk to them for a bit, ask them some questions, and we'll actually get their answers to the questions I was asking you guys in chat. Also, another question for you guys in chat: what track was your favorite for this season? Whether it's SWT, WEC, what was your favorite track from the season? And once again, I'll ask it to these drivers as well once we are wrapped up with today's race. We are actually about there. We got about 5 more laps left on the season. Hang on, let me actually try to redo my math here. Correction. next lap, we will have 5 laps left to go this season. I knew my math wasn't quite mathing correctly. As we are 2/3 of the way, or sorry, 3/4 of the way done with this race, and then that means that we're done with the season. And actually, come to think of it, it looks like it might actually be a no-stop race for a lot of these drivers, because we're seeing these mediums go quite the distance here on this track. So that is a very interesting thing to note. Haven't seen many drivers really make a pit stop yet, and the tires don't really look super worn out. So, and I mean, these gaps are far enough where these drivers really don't have to stress much. I said that, but then we got a battle here between Chemazure and Killswitch. So we will see how this battle plays out. Once again, this is imported for 4th place in the Constructors. The top 3 positions are all but locked out officially, so the best they can go for is 4th, but it's still a very respectable position considering how intense that this field has been throughout the duration of the season. So we're going to go ahead and keep an eye on this battle, as we're going to hop on board now with Killswitch, as he's making his way to try to get closer to Chemazure now, trying to maximize, or really just do damage limitation, trying to make sure that the rivals of High Caliber Racing really do not pull in more points than they need to, trying to keep P4 in this Constructors Championship. It is so close. Between High Caliber and Hololive, it is 5.5 points, and between them and Red Bull Adidas, it is only 4 points. So less than 10 points really separates those 3 teams, and that is just a testament to how competitive it has been here this season, as we're coming down to the final. Actually, yeah, we're now actually on the final 5 laps of this race. Final 5 laps of the entirety of the season, which is unbelievable to think about. So just gonna go ahead and take a look at our results from the season, just to go ahead and refresh everybody. Actually, we'll come back to that in a moment. Looks like Chemazure and the Killswitch are really trying to fight it out here. One thing that really did help out Hololive last time out is that they did get a race win in the last race at Tokyo Expressway, with your boy Grand picking up the win and Chemazure coming home in P4, so that really helped them out quite significantly. And then I believe, just gonna do some math here. I think we've had 4 different drivers and 5 with a sprint in terms of race winners for the season. So yes, Hop House, who is currently P3 in the driver standings, congratulating B23. He is not officially champion yet, but with 4 laps left to go and a almost 15-second gap, he might as well be at this point. We'll go ahead and announce it once again as he crosses the line on the final lap of the season. And I do want to go ahead and talk about Kaizen Motorsport here for a quick moment while we have one of them in the chat. I mean, yeah, it is unfortunate. Lost the motivation. Yeah, sometimes that happens. But considering that this was your guys' first entry into GPL, you guys locked out 2nd place into Constructors, which is a fantastic feat in itself for an experienced team, considering how competitive this field was, let alone a team that is brand new to the series. So you guys did absolutely fantastic. Both drivers from Kaizen Motorsports of Hop House and Jedi both taking race wins at some point in the season. So it is a I mean, you guys should really give you guys a pat on the back. Yeah, I mean, sometimes life does happen. I understand. Life does happen and get in the way of things, and that's all right. But you guys made the most of what you had, and honestly, that is worth a lot. You guys gave an effort, and that's the thing. There's a lot of people that they're like too scared to try sometimes, and sometimes there's a lot of missed potential in that. And honestly, Kaizen had a ton of potential. Hopefully, we'll see you guys next season. And at minimum, hopefully we'll see you guys at the SF 500, because, I mean, you guys have really impressed this season, I will say. And right now, we're going to go ahead and turn to the battle for P6, as Nico is ahead of Schulte, but Schulte is But both of these cars are actually completely out of overtake. So they're just going to rely on raw pace. Now Schultz has burned up his tires a bit more than the car ahead of him has. And it's an interesting thing that we haven't really seen pit stops in this race. So this really just became another sprint, just a bit longer. So that is an interesting thing. I think this is the first, maybe in Croatia, because I did miss that race. And I think I missed one other race throughout the season. Oh no, I missed Trial Mountain for WEC, but yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the only non-pit stop race we've had all season outside of the sprints. So that is a very interesting statistic that I'm surprised we haven't really seen before. So interesting. Indeed, yeah, and I mean, granted, there's always room for improvement with every driver, and I mean, we actually said that a lot about Alex in WEC, where it was a driver improved a lot. Killswitch is actually making a pit stop on the penultimate lap of the race. He's got a pretty good gap, so he's probably going to go and try to yoink that fastest lap away from B23. He's probably going to switch onto the soft tire compound, try to get that fastest lap, try to put another little nail in the coffin of B23's championship Grand Slam. So we'll see if he can go ahead and get that fastest lap. It is lap 23, so he will have the outlap, and he is on that soft tire compound, so kill switch. Trying to get that extra fastest lap point, which is an interesting choice, but I mean, I personally will try to keep up with Kemazure, but granted, High Caliber is in the best spot to really defend that P4 in the Constructors Championship, so we'll see how it all plays out. But we're going to go ahead for the final tour. We're going to go on board with this man right here, who is pretty much led from lap 1, turn 1. He started the season strong, and what has been an ultimately dominant season for this Exa Rapide squad. He's only got one more sector left to go, and then it will be the moment that we've all been waiting for. Exa Rapide has been waiting for this. B23 has been waiting for this all season long. 16 weeks this man has waited for this moment. He has put in the time, he has put in the effort, and he has put in the mileage on this car. 4,603 miles on this SF23 car that he has been driving for the entirety of the season. He has completed hundreds of laps in the season, and Nico does get in the way ever so slightly, but it does get out of the way. And then the moment that he has been waiting for, he's got one more corner left, and B23 is going to win the race. And B23, you are world champion of the SWT Sprint World Tour category here at the Grand Prestige League. He is champion of the world. It has been a fantastic season for B23 and Exa Rapide. It is a Grand Slam in the championship. It is a 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship, with CBD taking second. He was only 2 points behind, but he wasn't here today. And according to the statistics, the drop rounds have already been calculated. So mathematically, B23 is the champion of Sprint World Tour here at season number 6 at Grand Prestige League. It has been a very well-driven championship for this driver. The American driver, that Star-Spangled Banner will metaphorically play out. And it is it's been a perfect Grand Slam or almost a perfect Grand Slam for EXO, and overall, they've just missed out on the Drivers' Championship in the WEC, but your winner and world champion is B23. Well, normally this would be the end of the stream, but we have one more order of business to go ahead and conduct. We have, oops, sorry, you guys are going to see a blue screen and some black bars momentarily, but we're going to go ahead and do some interviews with our champion. Just going to go ahead and get that set up. And then also we're going to try to get Artura and Duck, I don't know if they are open for a interview. We'll see if we can get them. I know Arturo is probably just wanting to relax a bit because he is driving with that torn meniscus. But first off, we're going to go ahead and get B23 in here. We're going to come back to live picture here. So you'll see some black bars because that is PlayStation's things. That's just simple PS4 things. But yeah, it has been a fantastic season. Every race was a certified banger, and there is our world champion. Congratulations, B23. How does it feel to be a world champion?
Thank you very much, Matt. It means the world to me, honestly. And there's a lot of people watching and supporting me, and so I very much appreciate everyone.
Yeah, it's been a very fun season. You guys at EXO have really dominated. You guys almost got the perfect Grand Slam in both categories. Just barely missed out on the Drivers' Championship. But as far as I know, it is a Grand Slam in the Sprint World Tour. A 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship and a Constructors' Championship. So that was a very well-driven race for you. So yeah, overall, how do you feel about the season? And what was your favorite race from this season?
It was a great season, and yeah, like you said, EXO, it's all about just the way we prepare and our mentality, our approach to the season, and it always leads to good things. And so we just trust the process, no matter whose turn it is, who's in position to try to fight for a championship. We put all of our backing behind them, and so I really appreciate everyone when it's my turn. So thanks to EXO, thanks to Illusion as well for organizing everything and being patient with us. And shout out to CBD, my teammate, who was excellent for me all season. The Governor is watching, so shouts to the Governor and to Jesse and Purity and my parents. Also shout out to KZN, because they were really great rivals. I was talking to Jay Schultze about who is our favorite rival over all the seasons we've done so far, and we both agreed that we enjoyed racing against KZN, even though it got heated. So thanks to everyone in the league, too, and to you, Rekus, for keeping it very entertaining for us. But to answer your question, though, I think my favorite race had to be either Monza or Spa. Probably Spa. That was my favorite.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, those were both really fun tracks. Yeah, and I will go ahead and agree. I was saying earlier during the stream that Kaizen Motorsport was really definitely the biggest surprise of the season. It was a team that just recently joined the GPL this season, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and they got both of their drivers were race winners pretty early on. So I mean, it was a very competitive team, and I really hope we see them next season. So I am about to go ahead and grill you real quick because I do have quite a few questions for you today. You just barely missed out on a full-on Grand Slam in today's race. You just missed out on pole position by a few hundredths of a second. And so what happened there in qualifying, or was it just Arturo being just putting that torn meniscus through all of its paces?
Oh yeah, he destroyed his knee for that lap. That was honestly a really good lap from him. I have done better than that with this wind direction. Yesterday I did a 12.9 in a practice quali, so I know I could have done better, but my lap was not a bad lap by any means, and Arturo did a really good job. Anything past like a 13.5, it's really hard to get extra tenths off of that. So he put a really good lap up there.
Indeed, yeah. All right, so we have some more questions for you. So next season, there's been a bit of a talking point. It's been discussed quite a bit by a few people. Are you potentially gonna, now that you've claimed the SWT championship here in season 6? For Season 7, are you going to go ahead and try your hand at the World Elite Championship for the next season if you manage to qualify for it? Because I know you did some races with Porsche this season. I think Spa, actually, you did a race with Porsche, if I'm not mistaken, in WEC. Yeah. But are you planning on making the jump up to our top category next season?
I do think that'll likely be the case, especially as the champion, even if I pretty borderline on the qualifying for the open quali next season. But yeah, the plan is most likely I'll probably race with High Caliber or something like that in the top class. I did do really poorly that one race. I subbed in for Porsche, but moments there where I had pace that I felt like I was comfortable with, a bit better than what the result showed. So I think I can at least do a respectable job in the wet class as well.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, that's like I was saying earlier. I mean, you're never gonna truly know until you give it a good effort and try.
Yeah.
As a quote I actually saw yesterday, those who never make mistakes never try anything new. And I think that is a very good quote. So, I mean, yeah, I think you do have pace, you do have potential, and hopefully we will get a chance to see it. So, on to my next question. SF500 is coming up. I don't think we have an official start date yet, but what track do you want to see either on the commentator side or on the racing side for the SF500 in a I don't know the exact time frame, but I'm sure it'll be announced
I might just
shortly.
join you on comms for that one. But as a spectator, I would like to, Spa was excellent last season, but we might not do Spa twice in a row just for variation. Maybe I would be interested in seeing some kind of endurance race at the Nordschleife. I know it sounds insane, but that would be great to see.
I did actually mention that earlier on in the stream that I mentioned, just like kind of while the gaps were quite spread out a bit at some points, I was just talking about SF500, and the Nordschleife did come up as like a track that could be a serious contender. But Spa is a fantastic track, but I think for just to avoid the repetition, I mean, an endurance track is going to be good for it. I did joke about the Northern Iowa Speedway being the track that we used for that, which I said let's not say we did, but yeah, the Nürburgring would be a really good one. I think these cars would actually be a lot of fun to drive around the Nürburgring, even though that's a track I'm not a super big fan of in terms of driving, but I think from the spectator point of view, it would be interesting because you don't really see this type of car on that type of track, so it would be something unique.
Yeah, it's amazing to drive it, but it's not great to battle there, especially with these cars, just because the roads are so thin. But to just do a lap on your own through the Nordschleife is incredible.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can spend hours talking about this, but of
course.
So once again, I know I asked you this. I think when we were wrapping up with the interviews for WEC. What track do you want to race on next season? For actually any of the upcoming championships.
So we did miss Suzuka this season. I would like to see Suzuka back. It's there's a lot of dirty air there, but it's just such a good track that I kind of missed it. That and or Monza. Once again, I got to shout out Monza because I just like making sure that that's on a calendar.
You are just like me with Dragon Trail, I swear. And also, just reading off chat a little bit, Alex is claiming that you have a death wish for doing the Nordschleife.
Yes.
Atlanta, actually, that's a good suggestion. I'm seeing that from chat.
That would be good too.
I feel like we could do like a whole podcast talking about this type of thing, but...
Absolutely.
Anyways, actually, do you have Chemisher added? Because I know I saw in chat that he actually wanted to pop in for a quick interview.
I do not. I could add him. I know Artura has him added as a friend, and Artura might even want to do it.
I'll go ahead and add him real quick. It's going to show a blue screen momentarily because I am sending a friend request to Chemisher. He did have a fantastic season. I think I don't have all the math and all the statistics directly in front of me, but I think they might have just barely clinched P4 in the constructors because, I mean, there was like 10 points separating P4 through P6 in the constructors. So that was a fun battle to watch. So overall, so here's another question for you that I actually just kind of thought of on the spot. I had like kind of a list, air quote, of predetermined questions, but here's another question too. When it comes to commentating, are you going to switch from WEC to SWT in commentary.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I think I will just do whatever the opposite class is that I'm in.
Excellent, because I know you're a very talented commentator as well as a very talented driver. I mean, otherwise, if you didn't have talent, I don't think you would have won the drivers' championship. But
No, I wouldn't be here for sure.
yeah,
These
you might
guys
have
are
not even
tough,
qualified.
honestly. They're tough. And Kem too. Jay and I were actually saying during the race, like, yo, Kem, he stepped his.
So when it comes to SWT, is there a team that our fans should really keep an eye on for next season?
Come back, then they're definitely going to be ones to look out for. I will say too, definitely Ducky Dono is always going to be a dark horse for challenging for driver's title, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Duckadona had some flashes of some really solid pace. I mean, he got podium today, I believe, or got really close to one. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a pretty decent season for him. Unfortunately, just running a team by himself essentially for a good chunk of the season for Red Bull Adidas did really hurt their chances overall. But I will agree with everything you said, and I'm also going to add Hololive because especially in these last two rounds, the Hololive Racing team has really stepped it up a notch. And I did send Kemazure an invite, so why don't we get him in? Hopefully we can. Here. Oh, he isn't here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kemazure, good to see you, my friend. How do you feel about the season overall? Because I don't have the math in front of me, but I think you guys might have clinched P4 in the constructors. Unless, I don't think your mic might be muted.
All right, well, I'll dip though, but thank you so much for the interview, man, and thanks for excellent commentary all season.
And thank you, because, I mean, it's really easy to commentate well when you guys drive well and put up a really good show, so it's always a blast, and can't wait for next season, and also the SF500 coming up.
Absolutely, I'll be there. Yeah, thank you, everyone. See you later.
Alright, we're going to give it another minute or two and see if we can get Kemazure to go ahead and get it and make sure his mic is working, and also make sure he is in the and just making sure that his audio is shared, because I am still currently not hearing him. I know sometimes mics like to have a bit of an aneurysm, but we'll see. But yeah, I do want to, in the meantime, I am going to go and talk about just some stuff that has been in the pipeline for GPL and some stuff that I've heard personally. Going to go ahead and spill a little bit of tea. It's stuff I've said currently, but there are some new seasons in the work. I know the big one is, obviously, we do have the SF500 coming up, and then an LMP1 series is also in the works. But I think a GR3 or GR4 season is also in the works as well. So, I mean, if you remember our GT500 season from last year, all the fantastic races there, aside from the track that never happened, aka Kyoto, we are going to be doing a season like that again, except in GT3 or GR4. So definitely stick around for that. And yeah, be sure to go ahead and follow us on all of our social medias. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get Cam in, or at least his mic is still unfortunate. Huh, that is weird, because I am not hearing him at all on my end. See if PlayStation did some weird stuff. Can you try talking now, Cam? Actually, Arturo, if you want, I'll get you in as well for an interview. Just bear with us, folks. We're going to go try to get some more of these interviews up and running. There we go. All right. We're going to go ahead and try to get Nemesis, a.k.a. Artura, in. And we will go ahead and talk to him a bit about his season. All right. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get him interviewed. And there he is. Well, Nemesis, Artura, congratulations on your season. I'm almost 100% certain you guys locked out P3 in the Constructors. So, overall, how was your season from your perspective? I heard a mic activate, but... Oh, there it is. Well, I heard it for a little bit. I mean, I can hear the PlayStation in the background, and I can hear myself echoed, so... Alright, Kem, Artura, either one of you guys around?
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Oh, good. So, how was the season from your perspective? Because I believe you guys just clinched P3 in the Constructors overall, so how do you guys feel about that one?
Well, it's decent, but could have been much more at the end. I'm pretty disappointed in that on myself for not getting at least a better result than P2 this season.
Yeah, I mean, seasons do tend to have ups and downs. I mean, I know you're also dealing with that meniscus issue for at least this round, and I think even the round prior to that, maybe?
Yeah, correct. Maybe even 3 rounds.
Yeah, so I know you've been dealing with that for a while, and I mean, you still put in a fantastic result despite of the meniscus injury. You got P2 in this race, and you just shut down B23's hopes of ending on a Grand Slam with you getting a pole position early on. So, talk about that pole lap, because B23 said that you basically destroyed your knee to get that pole lap, but what was your perspective on that pole position lap you had early on?
I mean, I was trying to get really focused into a rhythm, and it just came all together in one lap, and there's nothing really to deep dive into, just getting the lap together, and that's the most important part.
Alright, well, yeah, I mean, sometimes it just all clicks together and works absolutely perfectly. And so, now I'm going to ask you a similar question I asked to B23. Are you going to potentially eye and move up to WEC, or are you going to stick around with SWT for a while?
I want to see what happens in the preseason qualifying. I don't know what's going to happen for me next, but we'll see and hope for the best.
Alright, so SF500 is coming up. So what is your track that you want to race on for that SF500?
Suzuka. I really enjoy that track, so I would like to see that one again.
I mean, that's a good one. You can see some pretty good racing, especially in the Super Formula cars there, so that would be quite a fun one. And then, is that going to be your same choice for a track you want to see in the next Super Formula season as well, like the next full season?
Yeah, correct.
Alright, so I know there's an LMP1 series coming through the pipeline, and there's also a GT3 or GT4 series also potentially in the pipeline. Are you potentially entering or feeling excited about either one of those?
Season.
That is honestly probably for the best, especially with that injury you have. But yeah, well, once again, Congratulations on the podium and on the pole position you got earlier on. And we will see you next time.
Yeah. yeah, until next time.
All right, Kem, do we have you this time? Yes, there we go. Now I can. Gotcha. Yeah, sometimes getting used to that new headset is a bit of a tricky one. But Kem, I think, now don't quote me on it yet, but I think you guys actually locked out P4 in the Constructors Championship. So how do you guys feel about that? Because, I mean, Hololive, I mean, it was kind of a rough-ish season start for you guys, but you guys really came alive, especially at Tokyo and now here. As you should, yeah. I mean, you guys had a really fantastic. I mean, aside from Shawn Mountain, you guys had a really fantastic a second half of the season. It really came alive, especially at Tokyo. Like you guys said, you guys really locked in and got started getting some really fantastic results. So, do you think that you guys are going to have a chance of potentially fighting for the top 3 in the constructors next season? Because I mean, the potential is clearly there with how the last 2 races have went for you guys. Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty long off season, so you'll have time to go ahead and get ready and adapt, and also just try to learn as much as you guys can in the off season. With the SF500 coming up, what is your track selection for the massive endurance race? Is there any track in particular that you want to personally race on? Yeah, I'm sure. I think I don't know exactly when the announcement for that is coming through. I think it is coming through sooner rather than later because I think the race is only about a few weeks from now. I think. I don't know exactly, so don't quote me on that. But yeah. So indeed, yes. So, what are your thoughts about the LMP1 series, and what tracks are you wanting to compete in? Fantastic. So, with that in mind, is there any other details you can give the fans about these specific cars? Is it specifically only the Toyota and the Audi, or are we allowing the classic GR1s, or are we allowing the VGTs? Beautiful. Yeah, because I saw from the 24 hours of Spa race from Enduro GT that the Toyota really burns through its battery a lot faster than the Porsche and the Audi. I know specifically the Audi is really good on battery management and the Toyota is awful about it. So it'll be an interesting series, and I'm looking forward to it. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to say to the fans and everyone watching at home? All right. Well, once again, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning on in. My name is Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus, and I've taken you from start to finish for most of the races this season. And yeah, be sure to stay tuned with our socials. Check us out on Instagram at the Grand Prestige League, or at Grand Prestige League. But still, check us out on Instagram. We'll be posting updates there. Once again, congratulations to B23, CBD, and the entirety of Exo Rapide for winning the Drivers and Constructors Championships. And also just congratulations to everybody else who has also competed in this series. This series would have been nothing without you guys participating, getting involved in the races. Shout out to chat. You guys have been absolutely awesome. You guys have made us laugh. You guys have actually made us think a lot. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, without any further ado, we will see you guys next time. And thanks for joining us on the ride for the series. Have a good night, and we will see you guys next time.